Good. I said, yeah, definitely.
Oh, the project? Oh.
Well, if you need any support, come up.
Hi there.
Did Larry Schiff can't come here?
Good, yeah.
I know.
Have Griffin go to a meeting or any of that.
The library's full.
Good, thank you.
Do I know when the timer is? What? Figure it out. Never time anything.
Regular Township Board meeting of Wednesday, December 4th, 2019 at 6 o'clock to order. And we'll do a roll call. Aldrich. Here. Hicksford,
Here.
Osman here, Helmrich,
Here.
Marcy. Here. We have a quorum. If everybody would like to stand and say the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, it looks like we have a couple of guest speakers from Saugatuck Township Library Board.
Hi, I'm Sandra.
This is completely unrehearsed. I don't think the mics are on.
I don't think it
Are
is.
the mics on?
Is that one mic?
Everyone makes, oh, that.
So, I'm Sandra, and this is
Mark.
Mark.
Might be better to take it out so you can hold it close to your mouth.
It is?
Or get
Or just hold it, I mean, you can pull it out of it.
Is this better? Is that better? Yes.
That
Okay.
way.
We're just gonna give a brief update on the library. I'll start kind of from the beginning, just so you can see where we were and where we're at now. In April 2019, Skillman, our construction manager, received bids for site work, mechanical, electrical, and general contractor. We received multiple bids on everything except general contractor. A&G was the only one to bid on that. In May 2019, ground was broken and site work began. Roughly June through September, we did underground utilities, concrete footings, foundation walls, and building slabs. Is it this that's doing it?
Yeah.
Should I pick it up?
Yeah.
Okay, that is better, yeah. And then followed by construction of the timber frame and the installation of the structural insulated panel walls. Construction was delayed when A&G could not obtain the glue laminated beams in a timely manner. Work on the frame, walls, and roof could not be done until the beams were delivered. There were also delays due to precipitation. On October 17th, the beams were delivered. You might kind of go on and talk about that.
Basically, after dealing with the weather that we've had this year and the delivery or the late delivery of the materials that were needed, then we ran into a situation where A&G was basically making some mistakes, some major mistakes on interpretation of the plan. So the stop was put to the work with a renegotiation set up with the library board and A&G.
Yeah, and currently, so they were also not working safely. The roof trusses were also not installed properly, which, see, she's shaking her head. I think a lot of people that are in that industry know by just driving by that they're not done properly. So they made critical mistakes, and so things were put to a halt. We've had several meetings, as Mark said, with A&G, Skillman, our construction manager, and HED, our architect. HED will do, they were about once a month inspections. They're going to do more frequent inspections for us. Larry from A&G, the owner, has agreed to be on site every single day to supervise. He has assured us that things will happen the way they're supposed to, and he has accepted full responsibility and cost for the mistakes.
In addition to what Sandra just said, we want to make sure that the township understands that absolutely no additional cost will be charged to the taxpayers because of this. A&G will pick up wherever it's necessary when it's been proven that it was their mistake.
And so as of this past Tuesday, there was a full site inspection done. People that were present were 3 manufacturing reps, SME, a third-party inspector, HED, our architect, Skillman, our construction manager, and A&G. We do not have it report. It usually takes a week or so, so it's just been a week. So we'll move forward after that. Right now, completion date is to be determined. We need to see this report, and our construction manager has to analyze what needs fixed. Any questions that, the public has can be directed to Mark or I, and not Ingrid. The board members for each district, each municipality is answering the questions. She's overwhelmed, she has enough on her plate right now with just running a library and dealing with this construction.
Just so you know, it looks as though A&G is approving the revised contract with them, taking responsibility where responsibility should be taken. So we're looking forward to having the project start as soon as possible. A lot of that will depend on what kind of winter weather we're going to suffer under this year. So hopefully we're targeting midsummer for completion, but things can change.
Yeah, as construction goes, things can change. There might be something else that holds the project, we don't know. So that's why we can't really give a date yet.
But we do feel very strongly to communicate where we are, what the status of things are, with not only the board, but, you know, the taxpayers in the community, because you're the ones that are paying for it, the library.
Thank you. And then questions?
Make I'm not sure if this is appropriate or not, a suggestion that, my mic is kind of naughty too. What you said about people need to talk with their board representatives for their area if they have questions or, and avoid, you know, keeping everything on Ingrid. Is it possible that you guys could prepare something that we could put on our website or in our newsletter as well, just to let people know if you live here, if this is who you need to talk to?
We have our meeting right after this, so we'll discuss it. I will tell you that all incoming calls, it's an excellent suggestion. All incoming calls do get directed to our numbers or our email.
But even if they're just walking in,
or, sure.
You know, socially, if they know the appropriate channels to handle those.
Yeah, sounds good. We'll discuss it tonight. So, any other questions?
Good idea.
Yeah, it is.
I just want to comment and thank you that it seems to me you've really been out front of this. Mark came in, I think, 2 weeks ago to fill us in here at the township office, and the press that you've done. I think you're doing a great job at getting the message out.
And there'll be ongoing press releases from now on and updates.
Great.
Hopefully all good ones.
Yeah, fun stuff when we get to the furniture and All right, thank you.
Thank you.
And we have an update on the interurban.
Hi, Phyllis Ice from the Interurban. I'm happy to be here and report on what's happening lately with the Interurban. We've got our 40th birthday coming up in May 8th next year, so coming up soon we'll have some more information and plan some fun events to celebrate that. The Interurban service is a wonderful asset in this community. We cover all of Saugatuck, Douglas, and Saugatuck Township with our 7 vehicles and our staff of 20. We got our start back in 1977 when a grant opportunity became available, and Phil Quaddy, working as the community coordinator, applied for that grant through the state of Michigan, and it covered the entire cost for the first 2 years of operation with a $1,000 copay. So each of the 3 communities ponied up $333, and we got ourselves this bus system. Thanks, Phil. Our current funding comes from federal and state departments of transportation, our .5 mil local property tax millage, and our fare box revenue, which is the 50 cents or the $1 that everybody puts in the box to ride with us. Last year, we hit a milestone and carried over 70,000 passengers, and that's our highest ever passenger count. Lots of summer visitors, lots of students riding to and from school or after school activities, and lots of people going to the beach and places along Lake Michigan. For buses, last year we were able to get grant money to fund 2 15-passenger buses that replaced 2 buses that were from 2010 with almost 300,000 miles on them, so they were overdue. We've got 2 more that will come in March that will replace another 2010 bus and a 2012 bus. And then we were able to get a CMAQ grant for 2 smaller vehicles that will, for alternative fuel. So those will be a 10 to 12 passenger versus a 15. And we've, for 2 years, or almost 2 years, we've been working, or had our trip going to Holland on Tuesdays, a pilot program, renewing that, hoping that we get lots of riders that want to do that. And then also riders that would like to come from Holland to Saugatuck and spend a few hours. So we can make our pickups and drop-offs at the 2 city halls or the township office. And all of that information is on our website, but we go up at 9 a.m. on Tuesday mornings and come back at 2. And then our newest news is replace our 39-year-old pencil and paper system with the automated dispatch system. So you call in still and talk to our dispatcher, but they communicate the information to the driver through a tablet. And so all of a sudden we've changed how we talk to the public, saying, you know, instead of where are you going, where do you need to pick up, where are you going, we start with the name first, and everybody, never had to ask me that before, and so now we file it under people's names, and then if they pay extra, we can carry that money forward. We don't have to use the paper punch card, they can just have a credit on their account. Maps are available for the drivers through the tablet, so there's some big benefits to that. And I thank you for this opportunity to share everything what we do, and come ride with us.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll open up public comments. We ask that you step to the microphone, state your name and your address, and limit your comments to 3 minutes if you're speaking for yourself, and 5 if you're speaking for a group. Is there anybody in the first row? Second row?
I'll quick speak for a group. Hopefully it's this West Michigan area. I'm Commissioner Kappinga, representing this West Side area. Just the first thing I'd mention is I just want to thank Chief Janik, he's not here, he's taken me a ride along Lakeshore. I've met with Road Commission, I've met with, even today, with Muskegon County, with St. Joe County, with Berrien County. I got off the phone about a half hour ago with Ezra Scott, he's a commissioner from Berrien County. He's in Washington today. Tomorrow morning he's speaking with Debbie Stabenow, he's speaking with Peters, he's speaking with Upton, going, you've got to declare the Lakeshore disaster. If some of the people here haven't really, I don't want you to go to Lakeshore, they can't handle it, we close the road, but your area here, I mean, the poor property owners, let alone the road commission, the danger of what's there. I'm thankful that your board recognizes it, and you have a separate board that's meeting to try to look at ways to have solutions for it. I would just say to you today that, speaking to this Ezra Scott, I think the importance is that all the different counties along Lakeshore have a coalition together, getting all the documents together to really get a comprehended amount of money to show that we have the disaster. Because the process is supposed to go that Elgin County tries to use all the resources they have to take care of the problem. The problem's so huge, it's way over us. Then the commissioners, the emergency management director, Scott Corbin, declare a state of emergency to the governor. Then she's the one who's supposed to make a declaration of a disaster for our area. From what this Ezra Scott said, he's trying to surpass even that, to go, Congress, you need to declare this. This is an area that's much bigger than one county. And just so you know, I'm working with you, want to do anything I could for you. As far as you say, Dean, can you check on this? I'm trying to just work with all the different parties to get them together. I'm going to try to meet with Ezra when he gets back from Washington next week to try to get all the groups together to say, what do we have to do? How do we make this declaration? How do we get it to the governor so she can declare this as an emergency area? So if there are low-interest loans that somebody can get, if there's something for property owners, let alone the road commission, let alone your township, what is there for us from FEMA? But anyway, looking at that, and if you say, Dean, can you check on this? I'll gladly do anything you want me to do. Okay? Just to put that out. Some things that the county's working on. I mentioned to you before, if you looked at any of the paperwork for Ottawa County, they've really had 3 townships now that the aquifer isn't keeping up with the amount of houses they put in areas. we don't want to come into that problem. So the people that did the study for Ottawa, they're giving us a presentation on the 12th to say, we talked to them about a month ago, and we said, can you assess our county for the aquifer levels to see if, what they are, and to see if the restoration areas, there's restorations that help the aquifers to recover. If we're keeping those intact, unless we're ruining them, to really give us an analysis of all that, so that we know if we're in danger, if we know that given areas are in danger. And the biggest issue is if you can find out what's in danger, find how you improve it. Find out what to do to sustain it. So hopefully we'll make that decision on the 12th with the presentation. I'm sure, I would assume, I know my vote's going to be to obviously get that done because it's an important asset for us to know for the future of going on. I mentioned to you the citizen survey. And we're doing a citizen survey that should be going out in the next month, and it was in the paper just to recognize it. Hopefully, the job of all of us, as public officials is to do the people's will. I think many times I go, well, I think the people would like this. Hopefully the citizen survey is going to address the issues that we deal with. Instead of me making that assumption, we'll actually try to match what we do through the citizen survey. I think this would be a real healthy thing. Makes you see where it comes back and I'll report it to you. And then just the last thing I just mentioned is that we did a 5-year recreation plan. You're in charge of the Parks Commission, take great pride in it, so do we, because we see the betterment of people, being able to go there with families and just how important that is for your community. We have that also for the county as far as we have our given parks we're trying to sustain. And just so you know, we fund that through casino funds. The casino, instead of them paying taxes, they give us 2% of their slots, which equates to about $340,000. So we take those funds and some other funds to sustain our parks every year to help them just to function. And we just made a 5-year plan so that you have to have a plan in place that you're able to get grants for bigger projects to sustain your parks. But it's great talking to you. Thanks for giving me time to do it.
Thank you.
If you need something, give me help.
Can I ask you a question? And thank you for your time. First of all, I just want to reiterate what I said to you earlier, that we greatly appreciated the support, particularly from the Road Commission, working with us and the other 2 communities and our managers on the erosion crisis. But on the survey, can you just talk us through the mechanics? Who's going to be surveyed? How is it happening?
So this is going to go to 1,700 residents. There's going to be a company that's done this for the last 30 years in other states, all over the place. Ottawa County has used the same company to do it. And it ends up that we partnered with CMH, with Community Action, with the Health and Human Services, so that we address everything from transportation to law enforcement to the health of the community as far as things that they think that we might need, as far as for respite, are they getting what they need within just their living at a given place. So we've taken questions from all those different areas to try to address any holes that we might have within how we function as a board. And what those other groups usually need for grant writing, this will help it just to go through one location to get that. But Ottawa County, what really impressed me is Ottawa County, their commission works off the surveys. Instead of them, they see if they're matching up with, like, we set up our goals for the year, and we have a long range, we have a 5-year and a 10-year thought. Ottawa County matches that with the survey that they put together, which is really, I think, intriguing, instead of us guessing and thinking we know it's right. So they try to match that, and I hope we'll do the same thing.
Will the 1,700 be from every township and city in the county?
And one thing I left out when I was talking about the lakeshore is I was at the Centurion dinner last night, and I sat next to the drain commissioner. She has an engineer that Craig Atwood asked to check that sinkhole yesterday. So this engineer is a master engineer that checked it, and so I was impressed with Craig finding an engineer with that type of expertise to give us his analysis of the danger that's there. Just so you know that.
That's great. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else from the second row? Okay, anybody from the third row?
Hi, John Skipper and John Saros at 3438 Riverside Drive. 1 year and 1 month ago, wait, that was not, I hope you had a chance to review my request from last month. We really would appreciate some help in reducing our SCUs. We're going to be a water conserving facility, and one that's going to have very, very little impact on the sewer system at incredible expense to us, unfortunately. And several different ways it can be resolved, and we're just hoping for some relief later in the meeting. Thank you.
Anybody else in the third row? Fourth?
Okay. Hi, how are you? My name's Alan Mack. I live at 3470 Riverside Drive. And what's on the docket this evening is doing some improvements to Riverside Drive and Dugout Road, which I personally believe are long overdue. I know it's been kind of a pariah within the township for maintenance with Allegheny County and the constant grading, and if you were to drive down it right now, it's almost impassable due to the potholes. You look at the conditions of it, you've got one of the most densely populated roads that we have in the township, and I'd probably argue that it's one of the largest tax generators for the township as well, and it's one of the least improved roads. So I'm in full support of looking at using millings and some slight widening due to some of the trees. As I understand it, our police chief, Mr. Janik, has indicated that the fire trucks can't get past. In fact, the trees are right in front of my house. So it'd be very unfortunate for people at the end of our road if they had a fire. So we have some significant safety issues, as well as roads that are within, a week of a good rainfall in poor conditions that would need some help. And I would also, I don't look at this as a township issue. I look at it as a we issue. When you have liability associated with not being able to get a fire engine down to the end of the road, that once we all know that it's an issue, it's something that we truly have to address. And so whatever I need to do to further support this, I'm at your disposal.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, everybody. Is this microphone or was off? My voice doesn't.
It's better to hold it real close.
Yeah, then you get all that static.
No, the static's when it's not real close.
Oh, okay.
There you go.
Ah.
You got it.
Okay. Hi, I'm Roy McElwain, as you all know, 3466 Riverside Drive, in case you forgot.
Never.
Yeah, likely. Okay. One of our neighbors, first of all, I'd like to read a very short letter from one of our neighbors who couldn't get here at the last minute, so gave it to me to bring tonight. This is from Marcia Sikora at 3480 Riverside Drive. Dear board members, I am writing this message to encourage you to vote to authorize the resurfacing of Riverside Drive dugout in the township. At present, these roads are in poor shape, which is typical. Almost immediately after being graded, the same potholes appear. Large puddles form after the rains, and when dry, these roads produce abundant dust. My cars and garage require constant sweeping and vacuuming. The proposal to resurface these roads with millings is an excellent one. My sister and brother-in-law live in the township, had their driveway resurfaced with millings, and are very pleased. The driveway drains well, is easy to plow, and generally much cleaner. I realize that this resurfacing may call for a few trees to be cut back and or removed, something to which I am generally opposed, but in this case, I believe the benefits of safe, cleaner roads are worth that sacrifice. Thank you for your time and attention. That's Marcia. I have a brief note also that I'll give you a copy of as well. I reviewed the 2020 road plan for Dugout and Riverside and encouraged the board to approve the plan for millings as presented. As a year-round resident, I've seen the efforts of the County Road Commission to give us a decent roadbed fail. Scraping and replacement of the gravel has not prevented the big potholes from returning literally after a few days. The current condition is very bad for a car suspension. Also, in the winter, the last 100 yards of Riverside Drive goes unplowed because of the tight road width with Alan Mack's house. I'm a tree hugger, but for safety and egress reasons, I am in favor of limited tree removal. Thanks for your attention to this matter. Thanks also to Craig Atwood of the County Road Commission for his suggestion of using millings. It's finally, I'm editorializing now. We had talked about it for years, but it was never approved by the county. So we've, in my estimation, made a major breakthrough here and proposing a practical solution. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anybody else in the back? Come on up.
Hi, I'm Scott Stern, 3462 Riverside. I'm at the far end, the end that time forgot, I think. Just for clarification, I think everybody knows this, but the Road Commission refers to the south segment of Riverside and the north segment. And what we're looking at, or what's under consideration tonight, is the proposal to add millings to the northern section. What I'm specifically talking about, where Mr. McElwain resides, is a little bit north of me. Where Mr. Mack resides is a little bit north of Mr. McElwain. I'm all the way down at the end. Our place is at so far at the end that it's not on Riverside, it's on Poplar Road. So when you start up at Dugout, Riverside comes south, and then the right-of-way makes a bend to the east-southeast. And little known, there is a spur that comes off of Riverside to the south. And the last three pieces of property there that have houses on them are on what's called Poplar Road. Poplar Road is a narrower right-of-way. It doesn't get plowed. It doesn't get graded. To go a little bit of background, my family has lived at that property for 3 generations. My grandfather bought it from the grandfather of the man, Paul McEnroe, who has deeded a lot of the open land in that area between 66th and Dugout and Riverside going down to the pond. That was originally purchased by his grandfather, and my grandfather bought our land from him. But what we've got there is a situation where the information that I've heard so far, I listened to all of the November meeting online. I spoke with Craig Atwood for about 20 minutes on Monday regarding the situation with the road. And I know my property's been surveyed. I've talked to a number of other residents who've had their property surveyed. Mr. McEnroe has had his property surveyed before he engaged with the Land Conservancy to create the easement. And what everyone is aware of, Mr. Atwood, a number of residents, is that there are significant variances and encroachments. Where the right-of-way is drawn on all the maps is not the same as where the road is. And so my concern, and I'm speaking here also on behalf of Mr. Paul McEnroe, who has, I know, submitted a letter to the board. I don't think it's in the packet tonight, but I think he addressed it to John there.
No, it's been shared, but
Okay.
it came in late.
Okay.
Everyone has it.
So he has a fair amount of detail in his letter regarding what he's aware of with respect to variances and encroachments related to his property. I think the reason I'm here is to ask that we hold off on this. I'm not sure what the hurry is at this point, given what I've heard, and I spoke with, Susie and Mike Haas live, just north of, Mr. Mack, south of where Mr. Cora is. They are also not in favor of advancing any work order for millings at this time. There are a number of people who have had longtime residents in the area that are concerned. They don't want, and here's where you have to distinguish between Riverside north of the pond and Riverside south of the pond, which isn't involved in this work order, but they say we don't want the northern part of Riverside to become like the southern part. In other words, paved and with larger houses built property line to property line and so on and so forth. They believe, and I believe, that we want to take the time to make a plan, develop a consensus, resolve what variances there are. And Mr. Atwood acknowledged to me that if the board approves the work order tonight and he receives it, he then has to begin the process of going through all of these issues. And wherever he finds a variance, and he knows, he told me, he said, yeah, we were aware Poplar Road's there, but we don't know exactly what the status of it is. We're aware that there are right-of-ways that are not even used and other places where, so he has to go through and resolve all of those things. And so speaking for myself and at least 4 other people, 3 of whom I've spoken of this week.
As you mentioned that, I did consider you speaking for a group, but you're over 5 minutes, so if you could just
okay, I'll
boil it down to your salient points, that would be fantastic.
Salient points are that I think it's premature to order the work in absence of sufficient specifics. I think that there are some significant variances that need to be addressed, and Mr. McEnroe's letter in particular has pointed out some specifics regarding that. I think that these should be investigated and reconciled, and I think that more time is warranted for further study, fact-finding, and outreach to other stakeholders. We've got about 21 households on Riverside. I don't know if that constitutes the most densely populated or not, but I know I've spoken with a half dozen of those at least, and we've got a couple others here, but I know a few people that when I've approached them and said, well, we haven't really heard anything about this. So my final point is just let's do this the right way. Let's do this carefully, and let's get everybody involved and get all the facts together rather than proceeding on a piecemeal or an ad hoc basis without doing as much planning as we could. So for that reason, I would advocate that we not advance that particular proposal this evening, but look for more information and look to develop a good consensus plan that respects all the stakeholders involved. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else that would like to make a public comment?
Sorry, just a comment. So, we're year-round residents. So we're there, I drive it a couple times a day, dealing with the road. We're not asking you to move the road. We're not asking anything of the sort. And in fact, I think the concept of putting millings down was a compromise because we know that Police Chief Janik wanted it paved and widened to 20 feet or something more than that, which I think is a little, is not keeping in the character of what we have with the road there. What we're asking for is egress for the fire engines to be able to get down. I think you've probably heard testimony in the past from Mr. Janik. And what we're asking for is what I think is like probably not a permanent, but a modest improvement to the road that we're having. We don't want you to move the road. We're not looking for you to move into people's homes or anything like that. Keep it where it is. So I understand the gentleman's concerns of it. I don't think what we're asking for infringes on his concerns of it.
Thank you.
Can I ask one thing? Your house, okay, if I go down Dugout, turn left on Riverside, are you at the very end where it has like a turnaround, is that
Me?
your, yeah, is
I'm
that where?
past the turnaround. A
So,
lot of
and
people
then
think the
there's a
house is
little
there.
teeny, like, two-track, is that where your house is
Yes,
back there?
at the end of the
Okay,
two-track,
I drove down
all
there
the way.
last weekend just
All
to
the way,
check it out.
Yeah.
I was afraid to drive in there, actually, because,
Well, and I will say, with respect to large vehicles, I have had, Consumers Energy come down there with the largest bucket truck I've ever seen and held a crew of 4 men, and they came all the way down that road. So that's why I think we need more study. I mean, I understand that there are legitimate concerns all around on a variety of issues, but I just think that things seem to be moving pretty quickly, and I think it would be a really great idea to just kind of, let's hold off and study this a little more, and then make a decision about the work order.
Just a specific, if I could just give you a specific example. We had the big snowfall, 15 inches or whatever it was. The county plow does not come down and plow from Al and Max north of his house down, doesn't get plowed. We could not get out that day. It took a smaller county truck later, after I caught one out on the road, and he wasn't scheduled to do it, to plow us out. So like Alan says, we're not asking to relocate the road or get it straightened out. We just need to cure this pothole problem, this issue. And we've been doing this for 20 years or more. So it's not being rushed, in my estimation. Thank you.
Thank you. Last call for public comment.
New people.
New comment.
I feel like everybody's had 2 turns, that's maximum. You can have public comment at the end. Sorry.
Okay, so let's move along to approval of the agenda. Has everybody had a chance to look over the agenda?
I move to approve the agenda as presented.
Any support?
Support.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. On to invoices. John, do you want to help me with that? I don't know that we have a total.
I think
Here
it's
it is.
Oh.
That's just it. Okay, so we have a total amount of $49,446.
I move to approve all bills and payroll in the amount of $49,446.
And support? I'll support. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries. And we can move on to treasurer's report.
Oh, treasure. I did that last time. I want mine first.
Thank you. Okay. You heard me say this almost every month, but our general fund bank balance remains at $2.4 million. It's holding steady between what goes out and what's coming in. On the investment side, our certificate of deposit value is at $752,000 at the end of November, and that increased by $1,000 during the month of November. On the year-to-date, the budget versus actual side for fiscal year 2020, this is estimates through the end of November, November 30th. Both revenue and expenses are running about 20% below budgeted amounts through November, but those gaps will definitely close in December with the new tax season upon us coming in. And the most important thing that we have to watchdog over is that there are no overages in individual departments that need to be discussed or reported, and that's, how many? 5 months into the fiscal year, so that's good. As I mentioned just a second ago, winter tax collection season, which is always exciting, it began this Monday, and as usual, there were people running in the door to pay in person, and the mailbox is full for those that choose to pay early rather than at the end of February. we collect the winter taxes through February 29th of 2020. On the board approval side, the board is supposed to, like with all expenditures, vote to approve the tax disbursements that I make twice a month to our partners. We handled November. Today, I just want to say there is going to be a disbursement made tomorrow, which is basically the final one from the summer season of about $35,000 that I'm going to ask you to approve. The next one will be in December 13th. That'll be the first one of the winter season. It'll be a much higher, richer value. I cannot estimate that because money's coming in every day. So we'll have to deal with that at our next board meeting. So I guess I'll make a motion that we do approve a December 4th or 5th disbursement of approximately $35,000 to the three school districts, the township, and the county that get disbursements from the summer tax season.
Can you check one thing for me, John? Is the actual due date for the taxes February 29th or February 14th?
The due date is February 14th. However, the township, we can accept payments through the last days of the month.
Okay, so you're accepting postmarks and...
Yes, and late.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, because at March 1st, everything delinquent is turned over to the county.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
In your motion, John, was it, you said December 4, and then you kind of said 5?
Well, I meant,
You meant 5.
I'll be doing it tomorrow.
Yeah, I know.
I calculated it all today, but it didn't, it will happen tomorrow if we approve it.
Okay, we have a motion on the table. Is there any support? I'll support that. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. And now we can move on to the minutes.
Looks like, do you guys have it in your packet? Do I just not have it in mine?
No.
I wrote them.
Wow.
What? Old packet.
I have two of them.
Oh, but you got
I don't know, maybe I have.
I wrote them, so I don't need it. Just wanted to make
The
sure y'all
minutes were in the revised packet that were sent out via email to you all on Monday.
Right, okay. I know they were online, I read them.
Yeah.
At home online.
And that packet is also posted on the website.
Page 1 of the minutes is page 12 of the packet, if we're all there. The third public comment, Jim Searing, fourth sentence, there's reference there, and in the next paragraph to BST people. I suggest we change that to the FOBSD for the Friends of the Blue Star Trail.
I'll look at it, if he says BST people, that's kind of what I have to write as a clerk. So those were the words that came out of his mouth, that's fine, but I will double check.
That's my suggestion, because I think he's referring to the Friends of the Blue Star Trail, because later we refer to BST, which is the trail itself as opposed to the organization.
Would you like that correction to be made, since you're here?
That's fine, you can change it to the Friends of the Blue Star Trail.
Okay.
I'm not saying they're not people, but it's sort of, I
I
thought it was...
remember exactly what I said.
Okay.
Next page. Further in the John Adams section, I just think for consistency, we've got Friends of the BST. I suggest we follow what I just said a minute ago. Down to the final comment, Fran Van Howe. There's a space, it's Van, V-A-N, space, capital H-O-W-E. Next page. First, where it says delinquent second notice tax bills. Again, perhaps I said did it last month, but technically they were sent out last month.
I'll check. I can't
All right.
I can't publish minutes that weren't actually said. I have to do what the words that came out of people's mouths.
Well, in correspondence, the first comment from me at the end of the sentence, believes we need to look into the current day. I don't know what the word day means there. I would suggest striking it so it reads current appropriateness of our REUs.
Okay.
Blue Star Trail Joint Resolution, midway through, comment from me, second sentence. Well, it reads, there were 14 previous resolutions made related to the trail. Again, the made was reference to passed by the township. And the next sentence towards the end, close to the election and there are new officials. For clarification, I would say is elected in both cities.
I will check that.
Okay.
I
understand. I'm just doing this for clarification. 2 lines down, where it says has significant fiscal responsibility. My preferred reading would be addresses our significant fiscal responsibility. So I'm on page 16 now, in the ACH and post-audit policy. Towards the end, the sentence starting money disbursements. I don't know if you're allowed to correct grammar, but the R should be is because it's referring back to the ACH singular. And then further along those lines, this affects, this one you can make, I know. It should be A, affects, not E.
Okay.
Page 18, middle of the page, Kalamazoo Lake Water and Sewer Authority. Mike, I believe there's a G in your last name, right?
2 of them.
2, right, Meg Wigan.
Okay.
Right. Page 19, second paragraph begins general fund revenue. Second line, under that be put together, there's a phantom R floating there. Public comment, Richard Donovan, again for consistency here, it says Friends of the Blue Star Trail, it's all in lowercase. I would either capitalize it or make it FOBST.
Okay.
That's all I have. Anybody else?
Any other comments on this minute? Do I have a motion?
I'd like to make a motion that we approve the minutes of the November 6th board meeting, either as amended or checked or whatever is the correct way to go.
Is there support?
I'll support.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to new business. For correspondence, excuse me. We did get a memo from Roy McElwain regarding the Blue Star Trail. We did get a library press release regarding the delay on the library construction. We did get a letter or a memo from Richard Beebe regarding Blue Star Trail. And we got a memo from John Williams regarding Riverside Drive. And then we had a few late correspondence come in. One from John and Laura Drewer about Riverside and Dugout Road Plan. And we've got one from John Helmrich. Oh, that's not a correspondence. That's your report, right?
Well, no, the letter from Paul McElroy,
Oh, okay,
which was referenced but is now part of the record. So.
okay.
Roy handed these to me at his so they will become part of the packet, but
Okay.
we received these just now.
And some more correspondence from Roy McElwain and from Marcia Sikora. And then a rather long one from Paul McEnroe. Do we like,
Also on Dugout Road.
on Dugout Road? Do we want to have a motion to accept those as information? Or just accept them?
I don't think we've ever,
Okay.
motions to.
Okay, good. Then we can move along to unfinished business on the, Blue Star Trail, joint resolution update. Brenda and I were assigned to be the elected officials in this committee. We also have now appointed from the city, Ken Trester and Holly Leo. And from Douglas, we have Kathy Meridian. Meridian. And
John Donovan, is it?
Jerry Donovan. Jerry Donovan. And we will be getting together very soon to make sure we have that agenda clear. And with a tentative meeting is scheduled for the full committee for December 9 at 1 o'clock. It's been confirmed? Excellent.
Where's that at, here?
Here.
Can public?
Public can come.
Okay.
Can you come? Is there a quorum then?
Yeah, I don't know.
There would be a quorum then,
Yeah.
so.
I
She
can't.
can be in the audience.
She can be an audience.
Oh, he's gonna be in the audience.
Can't participate.
It was December 9th at 1 o'clock?
Yes.
Okay.
Here at the Township Hall. And we have the 2020 and 2021 road projects. Find my pages. Okay. We have two parts to this, I think. We have the 2020 road projects, which include the Dugout Road and Riverside Road and Mills. And these are for the work orders. That doesn't mean we're ordering the work done. What we're doing is ordering Mr. Atwood to put together plans and specifications for bidding. We will have another chance to review that, if I'm correct, when the plans come in. This is just to get the work orders out.
Yes, if I can clarify.
Yes, please.
And I spoke with Craig today because, there have been several folks, as we saw today, not only speaking, during public comment, but who have written letters and called this week. So, Craig and I spoke today, and he clarified that the township board approving these work orders initiates the process. What this does is, it's the signal from the township that we have interest in pursuing these projects. So approving the work orders, we send them to the road commission. They then advance on to the design phase to start selecting what specific trees would be removed. And they would then do that review of where the road right-of-way is. A lot of the questions that have been brought up, not only today and in the last couple days, I'm confident that those will be addressed if the township board decides to move forward with these work orders. And Craig also mentioned today that if it's found to be too much, when we go through this process, if new challenges are uncovered, or if when these projects go out for bid, if they're found they are more expensive than the estimates that are approved by the board, that gives, the township then has a chance to re-examine those, and we can decide where we want to go from there. I'd be happy to attempt to answer any other questions, but Craig did want me to reiterate, and I'd like to reiterate, that approving work orders initiates this process. It's the first step where I think there's a misconception that it's the last step. That's not the case.
So during the process, as bids come in response to the work order being pushed forward, do we have the opportunity to review in detail all those proposals and suggest?
That's where we get all the details.
Okay.
That's my understanding, is a contract's not gonna be signed with the specific contractor until we give the thumbs up.
and there's 7 on the list right now for 2020. If we approved work orders for all of them, theoretically, as they came in, that 7 could become 5, or 7 with modifications with our input.
That's my understanding. The work orders are showing that the township has the intention to pursue these projects, but as you're right, I mean, there's 7 listed, but these are 7 very, very different projects, from resurfacing to asphalt millings to fog and chip sealing to mowing. So
Because we reviewed them last month too, so I mean, I think we're all pretty familiar.
This Riverside Drive one, though, it seems they have a lot of, I mean, it seems 50-50, some want it, some don't,
So if I can make one more comment, and that would be, a lot of the concerns we're getting, or my understanding of a lot of these concerns, they only get addressed if we advance a work order saying that we have intention to do work in that area. And that is the signal that we have interest to do work there. That would create the opportunity to then attempt to address some of these concerns that my understanding have existed for several years. Continuing to put off work in that area isn't going to solve the potential concerns with where the road right-of-way exists, for example.
how long do you think that would take? I mean, when would we be looking at this again?
I don't have an answer for that right now.
And this time of year, they don't repair roads this time of year. I mean, this would be spring anyhow, right? So,
My understanding is that's why we move things like this forward at this time, because we are not in construction season,
right,
which gives the road commission time to do the design phase, put together the specs, go out and solicit bids. That's the cycle of road work, if you will.
we probably want to go ahead then, I would think.
But I want to be, I mean, I'm kind of repeating myself, but in the process itself, the road commission cannot on its own accept a bid in this process without our further.
That's my understanding, because it's our money.
We have done that. It comes to us in the form of a package.
No, but last month, you know, I spoke about Riverside and Dugout Road last year, and it caught my eye that it was #1 on this list of 7. And as we've heard tonight, and we get calls in the office, and it's one of those situations where I kind of agree with everybody, because depending on the perspective, the road is a mess, it needs repair, and you know that the milling makes good sense. I personally, until tonight, have never heard of Poplar, that extension. I've been on Dugout Road many times. Dugout Road ends. I mean, I don't know where Poplar is. So I just want to reiterate, I kind of said this last month, but tonight we have more information from Mr. Stearns and Mr. McEnroe. The Land Conservancy of West Michigan has expressed concern because we heard the maps aren't accurate, and you know, there is a conservation easement there that needs to be respected. So I want to make that clear that I want us to be as vigilant and watchful of that during this process. It's certainly not like resurfacing Clearbrook Court in terms of regular maintenance.
I would just comment that that's